Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for calling this meeting, and Ranking Member Toomey and witnesses. Thank you. I am a co-sponsor of the Index Act, also a sponsor of another similar relating to traditional lending, the Fair Access to Banking Act. And I'm grateful to Senator Sullivan for focusing so much on index. This is just really, really important. I wanted to ask you, Professor Griffin, about no action requests. So, we see the SEC, we see the granting or the denying of no action requests. And first of all, is there a risk of an less than even handling of no action with regard to the indexes?
I think speaking broadly, there has been some academic research that suggests it does matter somewhat which SEC staff member receives that no action request. And so there's been some academic research into that issue. And I think that is maybe evidence of what you're speaking about, that there's sort of personal variability within the SEC, maybe diversity of views on what is appropriate and isn't. I would also note that there's been some recent changes as to what can and can't be excluded, and so that someone might be asking to exclude a shareholder proposal from an upcoming meeting and requesting a no action letter on that basis. And I think that we've changed some of the policy there and potentially disturbed what some longstanding positions, but I think. With respect to index funds, I think it's not. I wouldn't say it's particularly a major issue with respect to proxy voting.
Sure. Let me ask you about the role of states, because we're seeing red state pushback, as they call it. Some states are, obviously not all states are created equal, but every state, particularly their state funds, provide a lot. I mean, there's a lot. And I think of a state like Texas, for example, West Virginia, another one that recently passed state laws similar to the Index Act. In some cases, they might even be more aggressive in terms of their own pushback guidance. How do you see any concerns about the federal government doing one thing or states doing their own thing? Or what if we don't do anything? What could be the outcome or the consequence of states taking this on their own and having if you will, a maze?
Thank you, Senator. I think that it will potentially become further politicized at the state level and then have sort of a difficult to navigate situation for these asset managers. And I think that can increase costs as well. And so certainly it's maybe the best course of action for those states if their citizens desire it. But I do think that there are risks to that approach as well. And the fragmentation that you mentioned, I think could be detrimental. And so I think that there's a desirability of a unified standard and federal action on this issue.
I almost never say that, but there are situations, there are a couple of places in the Constitution where they give the federal government some say, and I would think this might fit into interstate commerce a little bit. The one thing I just want to sort of wrap up with, Mr. Chairman, and you can certainly comment, Professor Griffin, if you'd like. Has anybody come up with an index like reliable electricity index or reliable low-cost energy index? We pick these very political sort of criteria in the energy sector with very little regard for. We talk about long term. We have to think the long term. Well, 2050 is a long ways off. 2030 is closer, but 2022 is on us. It's here right now, and inflation is not a fantasy. It wasn't created by Vladimir Putin, although he certainly has enhanced it with his behavior, but we were heading this way already. It just seems to me that if we're going to have indexes based on political criteria, they ought to be grounded in some science, not just somebody's perceived or even real crisis that's years off. And anyway, no need necessarily to comment. It's just my comment as we wrap up that let's be a little more realistic about governance. Thank you.